I was just gonna ask. That's a good spot. Okay. That's good.
Okay, so. I'll get you
So you post on the Facebook channel? Facebook?
On the YouTube.
So I just wanna
Put that on the YouTube. I got took from
slide
NDT.
and then we can, go into the parallel bars. So reasons you wanna start pre-gate activities, pretty obvious. You need to have a basis before you go into ambulation, especially if, with any sort of patient diagnosis, whether it's a CVA, whether it's just trauma, it all depends. Also, I love Velcro gate belts, they're so easy. So you want to sort of go back to weight shifting is your number one go-to when you're first starting. So I'm going to ask Mary to just come in here. We're going to lock the wheelchair. Okay, she's nice and steady. Okay, so let's give Mary a diagnosis. Okay, which leg?
Left leg.
Left leg. Okay,
It's a
so,
weight bearing status, then two for sure.
so do you want non-weight bearing?
Sure.
Yeah. We'll do a non-weight bearing one, okay. So when we get Mary up, and we're trying to start our pre-gate activities, we're going to block her knee. I don't know if you guys can see me, but I'm blocking her right knee, so she doesn't go anywhere when I pick her up. I'm gonna put a gate belt on her. Right at her waist, we're gonna make it nice and snug. Okay, and I'm going to have her push onto the wheelchair handles when she's coming up, and I'm going to pull her at the same time. Reminding her to keep her leg up. If she still needs that cueing, I can put my leg under her foot so I know that she's not putting any weight on it. And then we're going to do rocking. So 1, 2, and 3. Grab onto the railings. And we're going to walk in the parallel bars just to get away from the wheelchair so she's comfortable. Okay, so just take the next step for me. Good job. And we're right about here.
Okay, so now she's weight bearing is tolerated.
So now she's weight bearing is
Actually,
tolerated
pre-gate
for
work.
her pre-gate. So now your weight bearing is tolerated, so you can put your foot next to the other one. So we want to do weight shifting. So the weight shifting exercises we can do, you can go front and back. So she's weight shifting, front and back, trying to get the proprioceptive input into the joint, trying to get that joint used to what it used to do.
Elena, maybe you could turn around, because you're smack in front of the camera. Can you turn the patient around and you?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're weight shifting anterior and posterior. So keep your affected leg in front. Okay, so we're gonna weight shift front and back. They're very simple. Yes, because your weight bearing is tolerated. Or
Partial weight bearing is done.
weight bearing is tolerated at this point. Okay, so we're shifting. You're always guarding the patient over here, just in case. I would have the wheelchair behind her, just for the sake of the camera. So from our anterior, posterior weight shifts, we can do side to side. So you can tell her to bring her limb to the side. And then we're going side to side, this way.
And this is important with orthopedics, because oftentimes if the patient's been non-weight bearing or partial weight bearing a long time, they have a real hard time getting over on that extremity. Okay. Become like their habit. They'll put less weight on that side and spend less time on that side. So to even out the gate, a little different than a neurological.
Okay, so then from the side to side, we could also do diagonals. So she could put her foot out to the side and she could just sort of lunge into it back and forth. So that's your diagonal. Then she could switch legs. Just keep in mind though that the infected leg, if it's in the back, it's probably going to take more of the weight. So just be cautious of that. So those are our weight shifts. Do you need to add anything to this?
You can progress the weight shifting by having them pick up the leg in between, which is a really good thing to do with somebody who's really resisting weight bearing. So let's say she's got an old fracture or a heel fracture on the left. So I might have her lean all the way to the left and say, okay, pick your right foot up. That means that's making her put much more weight on that leg. And then you can take the hands away from, you can work accordingly.
So then you guys see why these are sort of precursors to basically learning how to walk again, right?
So for partial weight bearing, does it matter? Because I saw you kept, alternating feet. Does it matter which foot is forward? Did you say that? I'm sorry.
When you're doing diagonals,
Or any of the weight shifts?
You're
I mean,
usually
if they
not
are
doing weight
partial.
shifting with a partial weight.
No,
bearing.
okay, all right.
Unless you're
So you
teaching
don't-
them how much weight to put on
To
the
put
partial.
on, okay. And that's when you get the scale.
Yeah, this is weight bearing is tolerated.
Oh, this is, okay.
So you don't
That's
start
what it is.
until weight bearing is taller?
Well, it depends on the patient, it depends on what you're working on. You probably want to vary the speeds, slow and fast. Slow, they may be early on, slow may actually be harder because it's making them stay there longer. So you may want to progress it and, move it from a little quicker to slower and back and forth.
you also have to learn your patient. You might have a patient who's scared of even putting weight on that limb, and you have to sort of gauge where they're feeling.
What
We
we're
don't
doing
start
now,
this until weight bearing is tolerated?
a lot of the time.
Because they can't put
Because they haven't been
weight
allowed
on
to.
that.
But if you're partial weight bearing? That's what I don't
Stay there.
Yesterday they could, today they could. Okay,
Because it's still proprioceptive input.
Are you sure about this?
Yeah, that's
Or they,
That would be like a progression,
so you don't have that they're able to direct
right? Because that's actually almost working.
Yeah.
So, any other questions?
So you can also do other things in the parallel bars that aren't necessarily pre-K, but activities like close change, mini squats, right? Heel raises, toe raises, you can do all those kinds of things in the parallel bars too. You're nice and protected. You don't have to really worry about the patient having issues with falling as much. As long as you guard the patient, you should be, if the patient's in the bars, you should be in the bars too. So you can do side stepping, you can do a lot of little activities. You can start some karaoke in there. You can teach what karaoke is in there. Grapevine, they don't have any idea what that is. Oftentimes.
Are you guys familiar with these terms? Okay, so like a grapevine activity, sorry. Yeah, so like a grapevine would sort of be something like this.
You go to a Jewish wedding.
You guys-
Becky, can you teach us?
Yeah.
One day?
Why are you?
Is karaoke the same as grapevine?
Yeah, I thought so.
Karaoke is the same as grapevine, but quickly. And on the toes. Karaoke on the toes. Okay, so I just had a really good question from Nick.
What I like.
So he was asking me how are you, so that means you're always in front of the patient, you're guarding them. If you're doing side stepping or you're doing any of those activities, like say I have a Lenny and I'm trying to work on weight shifts to the left, and so I may have her side stepping to the left to get like 10 of them in a row, right? So I'm gonna be behind her and to the left, okay Lenny, we're gonna step out with this leg and in with the other. Out with this leg and in with the other. So I'm gonna stay with her and I'm gonna be behind her in that instance. If I have her doing forward progression, like the walking, I'm in front of her. Okay. So it's gonna depend on what skill you're doing with the patient where you're at. But if you're teaching gait, you're usually right in front of the patient. If you're doing Ferex, you may be to the side and behind or whatever. So you can use the parallel bars as kind of like a safe haven when you're working. Usually it's not near where the balls are, the rebounder or anything, so you don't have to worry about getting hit with balls, that kind of thing. It's kind of like a little space off to itself where you're safe, to work on somebody who may have some needs, some needs. So for the orthopedic patient, it's all about getting weight on that part that was injured. It's all about correcting deformities, or either you can work a weakness, you can work on abductor weakness in here, that kind of thing. Do your step-ups in here. If you have somebody who's got residual weakness in a particular group, this is a nice spot also to work on somebody who's got problems with clearance, whether it's because of an orthopedic problem or a neurological issue, okay? So with that, I'm going to back off and take the floor.
Okay, so, let me come back. So then when your patient has progressed from like, some weight shifting activities and you want to do more things with them to prepare them for actual walking, you can do a lot of stuff with cones. You can have a tiny cone with a short cone. You can teach them to go over the cone. This one's a tiny one, so this one's a nice one to do early on. You can teach them to step on or just weight shift into a stool like this. Eventually you'll have them come up, maybe both legs, and then eventually you'll have them going over, so stepping over. But that's something you do way later.
We also have tracks for a patient who's neurologically impaired, where you can actually put slots in the wooden thing for them to take the right stride length to even out stride. Good for people with Parkinson's disease. You can line up canes and have them step over the cane, so you're making sure you're getting a longer stride when they're walking. You can even do the ataxia exercises in there. It's more protected. You can have them work on opposite alternating, because they can grab the bar in between that, right?
So that looks like this. Opposite alternate.
So you can work on the bar in between and that kind of stuff. So you have anything that, you have a patient, if I give you a patient with APD, you should be able to come up with 4 or 5 things that you can do to address that bar. Most of the time it's an issue with clearance. If it's an issue with timing, you can set up canes, or you can tape on the floor and say, step to the tape, step back, step to the tape, step back, right? So you can do little coordination things like that. We used to put little stickies on the floor, and then we would put the patient in the middle, and we used to play we used to call it our modified version of that game, Twister game, right? We used to have to put the patient in the bar, and we'd say, okay, pink, and now blue, and now red, and then sometimes we would have the therapist do it with the patient, to guard the patient at the same time, to guide the patient to do it. Breaks it up a little bit for the patient, makes it kind of fun. So as creative as you can be, anywhere, like it's typical of physical therapy, it's not all black and white. You can make it be fun experience, and they'll enjoy the session. So clearance issues, step length issues, continuity issues in the parallel bars. You got somebody who's walking like this, they're not passing, you can just have them stand there. Okay, I want you to come out on the heel and go ahead back. You come out and back. So you can work on step length, single leg, step length that way. You can add the 2 together. Right? Okay. So you guys have listened to me long enough. I think it's time to give you a couple minutes. I want you to practice. You can put 2 tables together. We've been doing this for a long time. And I want you all to come up with 5